SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Medical Plaza in Corinth is a locally owned community pharmacy dedicated to providing personalized service at an affordable price. Being a modern pharmacy with old school values, our Plaza Packs program creates an easier and safer way to take multiple medications. MedPlazaRx.com for details.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive.
Good morning. It is Monday. It is the start of a new week. This is Easter week, the beginning, I guess yesterday was Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week today, April 14th. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. I just said to Lance a second ago, let's get back in a rhythm. Let's get back in a normal routine. It's great to be with you on what is going to be a gorgeous day across the state of Mississippi. Alongside Lance Talbert, I'm Richard Cross. The C Spire text line is open to you as we get things started on this Monday morning, 601-879-4395. We had lots of games this weekend. Are you looking for game-changing technology? Well, then you need C Spire on your team. 5G wireless, fiber home internet, and business IT solutions built as tough as your defense, as tough as your offense, as tough as you. Learn more at cspire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning. How's it going? Welcome back into the saddle, my friend. It's nice to have you back.
Thursday just felt like a stop by. Monday morning feels like that's what it's supposed to feel like. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great, man. You know, didn't have too much to do. Got yard mowed and got to catch up on a little reading and research. A lot of baseball. And, you know, it's just a good weekend, man. You know, y'all did a great job. I know you had all three games, and Kess was with you on one of those, and had another guy. I thought y'all did an amazing job in an extremely competitive series, too. Y'all kept it interesting for 3 days. So sometimes when those pitching duels, it ain't too fun, but good job.
It was an incredible series in Oxford this weekend with Ole Miss and Tennessee. We'll talk about the results when we get to our sports highlights, sports news coming up in just a little while. Told you the weather was going to be good, like yesterday all over again, all over the state, but just a little bit warmer. Batesville, you got mostly sunny skies today, high of 84 this afternoon with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Canton in central Mississippi, sunny skies for you. You're going to touch 85 this afternoon, south-southwest at 10 to 20. Scuba Tech, a mainly sunny sky today in Scuba, Mississippi with a high of 86. Again, winds out of the southwest 10 to 15. Centerville, Mississippi, down in the southwestern corner of the state, going to be mainly sunny with a high around 85. And again, breezy throughout the course of the day. We got some birthdays to get to. How about Miss Loretta Lynn, born on this day in 1932? American country singer and songwriter with songs like Coal Miner's Daughter, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. She was born in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky. The great Loretta Lynn.
Butcher Hollow.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to or through Butcher Hollow, Kentucky. I won't swear to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That one might be worth looking up on the map.
Got to have some history to that, you know, just with the name itself. You know, it had to be
Charlie
an old butcher
Hustle.
Down there.
Yeah, you would think. Charlie Hustle was born on this day in 1941. Infielder, primarily with the Cincinnati Reds, 17-time All-Star. He was the National League MVP in 1973. World Series MVP for the Cincinnati Reds in both 1975 and 1976. And then again in 1980 with the Philadelphia Phillies. Served as manager of the Cincinnati Reds from 1984 until 1989. Probably would have been better if he had just stuck with being a player, because it was during his time as a manager in which he was betting on baseball and was banned from the game for life. Cincinnati native. You want to talk about a local hero. Born in Cincinnati, plays in Cincinnati, and one of the all-time greats. There's no question about that. Whatever you feel about Pete Rose and whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame, whether or not he should have been banned from the game, all of those things, there's no doubt what he was as a player. Played the game the way that any baseball purist would say the game was supposed to be played.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, what a dude, too. Invented the head-first slide. I would say he did, because he didn't do it like anybody else. He basically Supermaned and then hit it. And, it was just a dynamo. The guy could hit, do everything, and to be a Cincinnati native like that, too. I mean, come on. Like you said, local hero, but a legend himself.
How about this guy, born in 1966 in San Angelo, Texas, Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Greg Maddux, four-time NL Cy Young winner, won the World Series with the Braves in 1995. He was an eight-time All-Star and an 18-time Gold Glover. Not only did he pitch it, he fielded his spot. Not many guys like Greg Maddux anymore that can, barely break an egg with a fastball, and he's coming up there at 87, but could put it anywhere he wanted to put it. The TrackMan era, where they really grade umpires on calling strikes in the strike zone, I'm not sure would have allowed Greg Maddux to be quite as successful as he was now. But I don't know. He feels like a guy that could get people out in just about any era.
Oh, yeah, the two-seam fastball that basically ran off a table and fell off a table. He could mimic it with his changeup. He had, 6 or 7 different pitches, variations of the same one. You never knew what was coming. And he had that kind of quirky professor kind of appeal to him while he was on the mound. You didn't really know what he was about to get after. As a hitter, that's not what you want to know. You need to have some certainty. You want to guess right. But the guy, one thing about Greg, he was a mid-90s coming up with the Cubs and would get rocked all over the place. Said he had to learn how to pitch, and I think he did.
I'd say he learned. Started out with the Cubs, goes to the Braves. He was part of that rotation with the Braves that included Tom Glavine and John Smoltz and Steve Avery. Those were fun times for Atlanta Braves fans, and it was all capped off in 1995 with that World Series title. Here's one more.
Didn't he have a brother that played in the bigs for a bit?
Ooh,
Greg Maddux.
You may have stumped me on that one. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'll agree with that, but I'm not gonna fact check you either.
Yeah, I'll do that.
One more for you. You remember this name, Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Ooh, yeah.
1977. She's 48 years old today. American actress. She played the role of Kendall on All My Children, Susan Lucci's show, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Born in New York City. John and Hurley says Mike Maddux was his brother.
There you go.
I
was waiting. I figured somebody knew
it was coming. Yeah. This day in history, in 1828, we got the first American dictionary. Its author, Noah Webster, registered copyright for publication in 1828. Do you have a favorite word?
Nah, there's too many to choose from.
There are a lot of them. A dark day in American history. On this day in 1865, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was shot by John Wilkes Booth while attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. He was shot in the head as he watched the play, died of wounds the following day. 7:22 the following morning, just across the street at Peterson House, first U.S. president to be assassinated. His funeral and burial were marked by an extended period of national mourning. Near the end of the Civil War, Lincoln's assassination was part of a larger political conspiracy intended by Booth to revive the Confederate cause by eliminating the 3 most important officials of the federal government. He had co-conspirators in the assassination plot. Lewis Powell and David Harold were assigned to kill then Secretary of State William Seward, and George Atzerodt was tasked with killing Vice President Andrew Johnson. Seward was wounded. Atzerodt was never got around to trying to take out Andrew Johnson. He got drunk and forgot what he was supposed to do.
Knights of the Golden Circle, huh?
On this day in 1902, a store was founded that became one of the most successful department stores in history. The Golden Rule Store, founded in Kemmerer, Wyoming, by a man by the name of James Cash Penney. Perhaps you know his stores as J.C. Penney. Man, J.C. Penney was a big deal in my family growing up.
Oh, yeah. It saved me. We were Sears and J.C. Penney fans. My mom worked for Allstate, so they were like part owned, or Sears was owned by Allstate for a while. So I had the little employee discount. You go over here and get a little stuff. Hey, this was one that I loved here because, just think about it. 1910, President Taft, he began the tradition of throwing out the first pitch for the opening day of baseball. Mm-hmm. Dude weighed 330 pounds. Can you imagine rolling him out there on that mound and saying, all right, guy, let's see what you got. But apparently he did well enough to the presidents got invited back.
He was an inspiration for C.C. Sabathia.
Yeah. There you go.
On this day in 2020, April 14th, former President Barack Obama endorsed his former Vice President Joe Biden for president. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate you doing that.
Good choice.
Whew. All right, we'll get to some news headlines when we come back with you. Just getting started. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Keeping Mississippi in the know, one morning at a time. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Good morning to you. Glad to be with you as you begin what for many will be a little bit shorter week. I don't know if it means 4 days of work or it means you got to get 5 days of work done in 4 days, but a lot of people will have Good Friday off. Good Friday on Super Talk Mississippi will be best of. So you will hear the best of some of the shows across the day coming up on Friday. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, House Speaker Jason White, and other lawmakers in charge of appropriations are expected to resume conversations this week on the state budget for fiscal year 2026. There is work to be done, but some of that work may be a little bit different than they thought it was going to be just a couple of weeks ago. And Lieutenant Governor Hosemann said maybe it even turns out to be a blessing in disguise. So a chance to account for the funds being pulled from the federal level with a special session soon to be called by Republican Governor Tate Reeves for the budget to be approved by both chambers' full floors. The State Department of Education and the State Department of Health have had funds for their departments frozen by DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And Hosemann has recently mentioned that other funds recently slashed by DOGE intended for research are happening at Mississippi State, the Addiction Treatment Center at the Mississippi Department of Mental Health. Vicksburg National Military Park has lost 7 full-time employees as part of the cuts. His feeling is that other government agencies, such as DEQ and Child Protection Services, are next to be featured on DOGE's wall of receipts. And a quote, Lieutenant Governor Hosemann said, "Those are the ones off the top of my head that have various federal funds that are either going to be restricted or maybe, if we get lucky, they won't. But I can't imagine these two, the Department of Education and the Department of Health, are the only two. I expect we will have more." And states all across the country are going to have to deal with this. Now, the question is this a funding freeze or an elimination of funds? Because we've seen both already with DOGE, where they're saying, hey, we're pausing everything, we're going to examine what's there, and then decide whether to move forward. But obviously they are trying to eliminate expenses as well, so we will see where this goes. A man scaled an iron security fence in the middle of the night, eluded police, and broke into the Pennsylvania governor's mansion, where he set a fire that left significant damage and forced Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, his family, and guests to evacuate the building. The man, who was charged later yesterday, is facing charges of attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. The governor in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, said he, his wife, their 4 children, 2 dogs, and another family had celebrated the Jewish holiday of Passover at the residence on Saturday and were awakened by state troopers pounding on their doors at about 2 a.m. on Sunday. So this was yesterday morning, overnight hours. They fled and firefighters extinguished the fire. No one was injured, but if you've seen any of the images, significant damage. This was not a deal where somebody set a fire outside the mansion and was hoping for the best. Significant damage inside the governor's mansion in the state of Pennsylvania. That's scary stuff.
It's absolutely crazy, if you think about it. I mean, the guy broke in, it scaled the wall, avoided all of law enforcement, was able to get in, set a fire, and escape before they were able to find the guy.
You might point to it and go, there's some security features that need to be enhanced just a little bit, perhaps.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, wow. I mean, if you can allow one lone dude to do that, you got some holes in your security, that's for sure.
Yeah. A Russian ballistic missile strike on the northern Ukraine city of Sumy killed at least 34 people, according to Ukrainian officials, left bodies strewn across a central seat, and it marked the war's deadliest attack on civilians this year. This was a particularly disgusting attack. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the attack, which took place Sunday morning while many people were celebrating Palm Sunday, was evidence that Russia had no intention of bringing its 3-year war to an end. The strike was the second Russian attack this month to cause mass civilian casualties and came 2 days after U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg as part of the push that this presidential administration under Donald Trump is trying to get a ceasefire. This war's got to end.
I was watching a Russian official, some type, you never know, from exactly what level or depth. Mm-hmm. But he was, championing the reality in his mind and in the Russians' mind that they have not engaged in total war. If they went to total war against Ukraine, it would have been over day one. But this is just a special military operation. And, it was just interesting from the perspective of listening to it from the Russian side. Well, they've been just slow playing this thing. It hadn't been real war. This is just a military operation. If Russia wanted to win this thing, boy, they could just run roughshod through there in 2 minutes if they wanted to.
I'm not so sure about that. I'm also not sure that war, the way we traditionally think of it, even exists anymore. Because when you think about war, like in the vein of World War II, mm-hmm. or even in the vein of Vietnam, you're talking about significant ground forces and tanks and airplanes and boats and not just missile strikes, and I guess you've had all of that stuff, but you haven't had this, this is the plan and we are marching toward victory. I don't know. With the use of drones and airstrikes and missiles, it just seems like a different type of war in which we are living today.
I have to agree 100%. It's hard for me to, put perspective on those comments because, as you said, total war, what does that mean? You just start nuking people and just blowing everything up and, running in tanks and huge numbers of troops in and out. I just don't see it. Like you said, it's a tech war now and more surgical, whether that's a good or bad thing. But, yeah, it's this war 3 years in. Something's got to give. Yeah. Something's got to give.
Yesterday we had one of the great American sporting events, and no, I'm not talking about college baseball, although I think those are great American sporting events, but it was the final round of the Masters. I'll be interested to see the television numbers when it comes out. we can sometimes be prisoners of the moment because I've seen a lot of people say, hey, one of the best sporting events of a generation, one of the best sporting events of a lifetime. Was it that? I mean, I'll leave it for you to decide. Maybe if I had just sat and watched uninterrupted for 5 hours yesterday afternoon, I would feel somewhat different. The Masters went to a playoff, and so yesterday was set up by an incredible round of golf by Rory McIlroy on Saturday. And you had an incredible pairing with McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau in the final group. I saw somebody call it a Rory coaster. Not a roller coaster, but a Rory coaster yesterday.
Well, it had to be. I mean, up 6 shots with about 8 to go?
He opened with a double bogey on the first hole, and so his 2-shot lead evaporated like boom. He made a par on 2. He made birdies on 3 and 4 to get it back even for the round. Pars on 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then he birdied 9, and so he made the turn at 1 under par. And then he was able to grow his lead because at 10 he made another birdie. Then he bogeyed 11 and parred 12, and then a double bogey on the par 5 13th. And folks began to go, uh-oh. And then he bogeyed 14. And the uh-ohs got louder, but he followed it up with a birdie on 15, an incredible birdie on 17, and then a chance to win it on 18. But he hit his approach shot in the bunker, got out of the bunker, missed a putt that would have won it, and so we got a playoff. A playoff not with Bryson DeChambeau, who stumbled yesterday shooting 75, 3 over par, but a playoff with Justin Rose, a guy who was the first and second round leader, who went out and shot a 6 under 66 yesterday. They went to a playoff. Both Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy hit their drives into the fairway. Both hit good approach shots. Justin Rose to 15 feet. McIlroy caught the slope, brought it back to about 3 feet. Rose just missed his putt. And Rory McIlroy became the 6th golfer to win the career Grand Slam, and he finally got the Masters monkey off of his back. Feels like the $4.2 million prize check that goes along with winning the Masters was secondary to his place in history, finally winning the Masters. We got more sports headlines for you when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Know where the news is going next. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Monday morning. If you haven't stepped outside yet, you got 5 minutes to spare. Wouldn't be a bad day to grab your coffee and find a chair on the front porch or the back porch and enjoy it. It feels amazing outside this morning. Lance, I was thinking if we could shift the studio outside this morning and get the birds chirping in the background.
Oh, I'm in, man. I mean, my little white possum, I already had a good conversation with him this morning. He was scurrying around in the courtyard, little worried.
Not one that you ran over.
No. Yeah, that's what I was telling you, man. Those things they've got to get better. I don't know, but I've seen an absolute graveyard of those things all over. And it's sad because I love a possum. You know, they're just so cute and rat-like, but fluffy and much more interesting. But yeah, the one out in the courtyard, he lives under the building, and he's one of the prettiest. He's white, you know, and so he's one of the bright white. And I know him pretty well, but he still hasn't let me get close enough to pet him yet. But
you let me know when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on it. I'll bring some cheese or something for him one day, and he may come on up. And I love critters, though. This is the best part of the year to me is everything waking back up. Like you said, the birds, my dog, Hawk. Oh, my God, man. He doesn't know what to do with himself right now. Bird dog. I mean, everything's flying.
Getting out, and he's just running in circles.
Catching butterflies, catching the carpenter bees and, you know, spitting them out and running after everything. Yeah, yesterday was great. I hope everybody gets a chance to enjoy the day. These perfect days don't last forever. But,
nope.
These are good ones, man. Goodness.
The heat will be is on its way. Maybe even you might even work up a little sweat if you're outside this afternoon with temps in the mid 80s.
I broke a good one doing the yard yesterday. I was like, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
A couple of other notes on the Masters win for Rory McIlroy. He joins 5 golfers and becomes the 6th to win the career Grand Slam, which the modern career Grand Slam consists of the Masters, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship, or the British Open, if you prefer. The only other players to do that, Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods.
Some company there, isn't it?
That is pretty elite company. After the round, Rory said, "This is my 17th time here, and I started to wonder if it would ever be my time. I think the last 10 years, coming here with the burden of the Grand Slam on my shoulders and trying to achieve that, I'm sort of wondering what we're all going to talk about going into next year's Masters."
Yeah.
I mean, for a decade, the questions have been, can you do it? Can you finish the Grand Slam? How do you exercise your demons at Augusta? And he certainly did that yesterday. Justin Rose finishing second with a check of nearly $2.3 million. Patrick Reed, who got very little coverage in the final round yesterday. Nobody likes Patrick Reed. He walked away with $1.4 million. Scotty Scheffler in 4th place won $1 million as well. It was an incredible day yesterday. Incredible theater.
Well, Justin Rose's comment, I think it was to the effect that you got to lose big to win big, So yeah, maybe he's up next, but I feel that way, sometimes. Sometimes it takes a little humiliation and being humbled before you can springboard to even greater things. So watch out for Justin Rose next.
How about some baseball action from this weekend? Mississippi State has now won 2 series in a row. They got South Carolina last weekend in Starkville. This weekend, Mississippi State on the road facing Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They got the weekend started off on the right note with a 13-3 win. Just bashed the ball all over the ballpark. And they turned around and scored only 1 run in Saturday's game and lost 4-1. They bounced back yesterday with a 4-2 victory to get the series win. That was a big, big weekend for Mississippi State, who is trying to dig itself out of a hole after the way things started for them in SEC play. But they've won 4 of their last 6 in the conference and maybe moving in the right direction.
Well, when you take a series on the road against anybody, especially a solid SEC team like Alabama, that's a lot of feather in your cap. Makes you feel a lot better about yourself.
Absolutely.
State had a great weekend and had a great one last week. You got to back them up one after another. They could be right back in the heat of this thing.
Yeah, and Mississippi State with the win yesterday to get the series, still find themselves in the bottom quarter of the conference, but now 5-10 in SEC play after a 1-8 start. So moving in the right direction. Ole Miss and Tennessee, we talked just briefly about this earlier this morning, an incredible series. It started out on Friday night with former Ole Miss pitcher Liam Doyle on the mound. Left-handed, coming at it at about 98.
With attitude, yeah.
Really, really good. 14 strikeouts. That was a career high 8 1/3 innings. Tennessee got game 1 3-2. Ole Miss had the winning run on base in the bottom of the 9th inning on Friday night, but couldn't get it across. Different story on Saturday, an 8-5 win for Ole Miss. Very different type game, and every time Tennessee would kind of chip away or cut into the lead a little bit, Ole Miss was able to answer. And then a full-on roller coaster game yesterday. Ole Miss had a 3-2 lead. Then it was a 5-run 6th inning for Tennessee to make it 7-3. And then Ole Miss got 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to make it 7-6. And they got a run in the 7th, and they got a run in the 8th. And Ole Miss was in front, and they were 3 outs away from getting a series win. But then Tennessee scored 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning, and they got a 10-8 win and a good series victory over Ole Miss. It was as good of a 3-game series as I can remember.
I think that Arkansas
just had everything.
Well, I don't know I can't remember if you worked that opening series with Arkansas.
I did not.
Yeah, but this one and that, when you play 2 extremely good teams. Now, you had them at home, granted, but
yeah.
you did what you had to do. You didn't let those teams determine your style of play. I think Ole Miss really stuck to their game plan and did a really good job in both of those series. Both two series you could have won. It wasn't what you wanted in the end, but you played top opponents very well and, went to the line with them.
Ole Miss back at it on Tuesday morning, the annual school day game at Swayze Field.
That one's always fun to listen to on the radio.
Yeah, you almost need earplugs even listening on the radio. I know that doesn't make sense.
No, I was kidding. It was
it is a loud environment. They're going to play at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, hosting Little Rock at Swayze, and then the Rebels will hit the road this weekend for a 3-game series against South Carolina. And that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series coming up. Southern Miss went to San Marcos, Texas. Had a chance for a sweep, couldn't quite get it done yesterday. Kind of a crazy finish to that game. A hit by pitch with the bases loaded gave Texas State a walk-off victory yesterday, 11-10. But the damage had been done for the weekend. Southern Miss got a 5-2 win on Friday. They got a run rule victory in 7 innings, 12-1 on Saturday. So the Golden Eagles take 2 of 3 from Texas State on the road, part of consecutive weekends away from Pete Taylor Park. So Golden Eagles be back in Hattiesburg this weekend. Got one more road game to deal with, though. In the midweek, they're going to slide down and over to Hammond to take on Southeastern Louisiana. So Tuesday night game against SELA, or SLU as it used to be, all the different iterations of.
That's what it was when I was a kid. SLU.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
And Southern is, if they would have taken that Sunday game, they'd have been tied with Coastal at 11-4. That puts them at 10-5. So they're in second place with Troy, but having a great season so far.
The standings in the SEC at the halfway point of league play. Halfway through, only 5 series remaining. Texas, newcomer to the SEC. Welcome to the SEC, Longhorns, 13-2. Then you got Arkansas at 12-3. Tennessee is 11-4. Georgia and LSU are both 10-5. LSU swept this weekend by Auburn. Then you got Ole Miss and Auburn both at 9-6. Bama and Vanderbilt both at 8-7. Oklahoma at 7-8. Kentucky and Texas A&M at 6-9. Boy, Texas A&M. Did you see or hear about their game on Saturday?
No.
They had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So they won on Thursday night. They won 8-7 in extra innings against South Carolina. On Saturday, they pulled out the whooping stick and beat South Carolina 17-0. That was on Friday. On Saturday, A&M was down 12-3 in the 7th. They were down 12-7 in the 9th. They hit a grand slam to make it 12-11, still trailing. And you know what they did after that? They hit another grand slam in the bottom of the 9th inning and won 15-12.
Jeez.
Well, and if you're an Ole Miss fan, you hope that they fully broke South Carolina.
Hey, man,
because South Carolina is where Ole Miss is headed.
I was going to say, that sets up well for Ole Miss, but golly, 2 grand slams on a Sunday-style game. I'm one of, as a pitcher, it's hard to watch those games for me. I don't know about you. It's just, I'm sitting there gritting my teeth going,
throw strikes, get out.
Strikes, man, come on. But the zone is tighter, I will say that. And
it is.
Your point with Maddox earlier, kind of resounds at the college level as well. With not everybody can get it in that little bitty sliver of a zone. And when they don't, buddy, those scores get ugly.
Mississippi State now 5-10 in the league. Florida 4-11. South Carolina 2-13. Missouri 0-15. They have not won a game at the halfway point of conference play.
Yeah, mail it in. Just hang it up.
We will take a time out. We'll get you a Mississippi Lottery update coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Yes, I'm leaving here a better man.
From the Venable Glass.
No filibuster. Just everything you need to know to start your day smarter. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Got a big old jackpot tonight for Lotto America. It's time for your Mississippi Lottery update, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery. Find them online at mslottery.com. Estimated jackpot for tonight, Monday, April 14th, nearly $31 million. This one has been growing for a long time, slow and steady. Estimated cash value, $13,780,000. The numbers from the most recent drawing, Saturday night, April 12th, 16, 24, 42, 50, 52. Star ball of 8 and an all-star bonus multiplier of 2. Powerball jackpot has grown. It's up to $100 million. You've got that drawing coming up tonight with an estimated cash value of almost $45 million. Saturday night's numbers were 16, 22, 44, 45, 53. The Powerball was 19. And the power play multiplier was 2.
Well, that's one of those at $100 million makes the math easy on your taxes and all that. So,
oh yeah,
easy. I'd take the $100 million.
Yeah.
Double play numbers from the Saturday, April 12th drawing: 5, 10, 46, 49, 60. Powerball of 16. Your Mega Millions, no jackpot winner yet. Your estimated jackpot for Tuesday's drawing: $96 million. Estimated cash value on that: $42.2 million. And numbers from Friday, 15, 37, 38, 56, and 58. Mega Ball of 19.
We had a winner on match 5 on Saturday night. A player matched all 5 numbers to win the $141,000 jackpot on Saturday night. The ticket was purchased at Walmart in Tupelo. Estimated jackpot for tonight's drawing, $52,000. Sunday night's drawing, the numbers were 4, 9, 11, 17, and 29.
Well, you cash $3 $500 Sunday drawing, midday numbers 743, evening 847, cash for $5,000 midday 7631, evening drawing 6439, Fireball of 6 and a cash pop of 10 during the midday drawing. The evening Fireball was 4 with a cash pop of 15.
Last week, the lottery claims office paid out $661,923.89, while retailers across the state paid out nearly $4.7 million in winnings. Congratulations to all the winners. That Lotto America jackpot we told you about is making headlines as it climbs to an estimated $30.08 million with a cash value of $13.78 million. It's the second largest jackpot in the history of the game. Tonight's drawing will mark the 149th consecutive draw since the last jackpot was won almost a year ago. That was April 24th of last year. Current record jackpot for Lotto America stands at $40 million. That was claimed in April of 2023 by a player in Iowa. Lance, why don't you start us off with some Cash 4 winners?
Well, we have a pretty good number of those in there today. A Vicksburg man won $800 on a ticket from Suds and Smokes. A Vicksburg woman won $845 on a quick trip ticket, $72.46 in Clinton. A Livingston, Alabama man, $1,200 richer on a ticket purchased over in Tumsuba at Texaco. A Jackson player, $2,500 in winnings on a ticket from the Sprint Mart in Jackson. A Lake Providence, Louisiana man, $2,600. Purchased that ticket at Exxon Jubilee in Vicksburg. A Canton man, $2,600 richer. A Canton woman won $2,600. A Crystal Springs man won $2,700 on a ticket from the corner store in Crystal Springs. And as we ramp up here, a Brandon woman, $5,000 on a ticket from the Cefco convenience store in Brandon. And a Baldwin man, $7,700 in the pocket on 2 tickets from Kay's Tobacco and Brew in Saltillo.
$1,000 to a Vicksburg man on a cash pop scratch off. Suds and Smokes in Vicksburg.
Popular spot.
Match 5, a Jackson man won $1,000 on a ticket from Fuel Time in Jackson. A Crystal Springs woman won $1,000 on a ticket from Fleetway in Crystal Springs. Had a Mega Millions winner, Pine Hill, Alabama man. Bought a ticket at Why Not Express in Meridian. Why not?
Why not?
Won $2,500. And then you had a $10,000 winner on a $5 cash-tastic ticket. Coldwater woman took home 10 G's on a ticket from J&J One Stop of Mississippi in Hernando.
I'm going to round it out here with some $20 200-time cash blitz winners. A Laurel man won $1,000 on a ticket from the Big B in Laurel. A Brandon woman, $1,000 on a ticket from Sprint Mart 101 in Ridgeland. A Waynesboro man won $1,000 on a ticket from Clark Oil Company No. 2 in Waynesboro. And finally here, a Hernando man, $2,000 in the pocket on a ticket from Murphy Oil USA, $71.59 in Hernando, Mississippi.
That is your Mississippi Lottery update. You can find them online at MS Lottery. All the rules, all the games, all the contests, the second chance drawing, all of that information is there at mslottery.com. A little bit later in the show, 7:30 this morning, Maurice Sanderson will join us. We'll talk some national news with her, former policy director with the RGA and a GOP strategist. JT Mitchell will be by in the 8 o'clock hour to join us. We'll talk with him about some of the headlines from the last week and what's coming up this week. Everybody's had a doctor's appointment, had to go in for your annual physical. President Trump did that last week, and the White House released the results of his physical. What'd the docs say about the prez? We'll tell you coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for starting your day with us.
Time for eternity. Yes, I just might find I'll be killing time for eternity.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
This 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. That's MWGEmployerServices.com. The C Spire text line is open to you. 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Ready for your winning strategy? Here it is. Join C Spire. All the technology and support you need to succeed at home, at work, and everywhere you go. Visit cspire.com today. C Spire, inspired by you. Alongside Lance Talbert, I'm Richard Cross. Glad to have you along for the ride on this Monday morning. Many of you kind of getting out the door right now, whether it's to get to the office, to get to the job site, to get kids to school, whatever it is that you've got going this morning, we wish you well. Well, Donald Trump told us last week that he had taken his annual physical at Walter Reed, and he said we will be releasing the results very soon. And that happened yesterday. Caroline Leavitt, press secretary for President Donald Trump, released a report to the media via, of course, X. And here's what was in it. 78 years and 10 months old, 75 inches, that's 6'3", 224 pounds. But Donald Trump has lost weight, right?
I mean, that's a pretty good playing weight right there.
Yeah, 6'3", 225. No doubt. Don't you think that just, you can't necessarily tell in a suit, but if you see pictures of Donald Trump on the golf course, he looks a little better put together than he did 5 or 6 years ago.
I agree 100%. Looks like he's been getting his exercise, playing some golf, stretching and all the good stuff, He looks good, though. Hair looks good. Fitting in that suit better,
Resting heart rate of 62 beats per minute. Blood pressure 128/74. That's pretty good. Pulse was fine. Temperature was fine. They give a physical examination and diagnostic summary. Eyes normal. Dilated eye exam was normal. They did point out later in the report that he had cataract surgery years ago. Head, ears, nose, throat. Examination of the head, ears, nose, throat revealed no significant abnormalities with the exception of scarring on the right ear from a gunshot wound. I'm not laughing like, ha, that's funny, but I just thought in the medical report, he can hear just fine. It's all good. Ear, nose, throat, head, except for that, place where you got shot. His hearing was normal. Thyroid and lymph nodes were normal. Had an ultrasound in July of 2024, and nothing out of the normal there indicated. Lungs were clear. What about the heart? Cardiac, regular rate and rhythm with normal heart sounds. Cardiac testing, including an EKG and echocardiogram, revealed no abnormalities. Heart function is normal, with a healthy normal ejection fraction. Gastrointestinal, all good.
Some McDonald's burgers he's eating.
He had a July 2024 colonoscopy, and it revealed diverticulosis and a benign polyp, but all good since then. I can't even pronounce this word. Genitourinary? Is that right?
You executed that well, sir.
What is that?
Jenna would be generic, or no, I'm kidding, but no, it would have to do with something like the older population, I would imagine.
Okay.
GEN. I think that's the STEM meaning.
Your genitourinary system. That's the urinary and reproductive system, responsible for waste excretion and reproduction, respectively. Okay. There you go.
So he's good to go there.
Yeah.
Well, the leader of North Korea, he doesn't even have to go to the bathroom. He's basically a god. That's what they tell everybody. He didn't have to do that stuff.
Doesn't have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, he's a god. So that's what they. One of the things over there. One of the things they spread around.
Yeah.
He didn't even. He just uses everything he eats. He doesn't have to expend it. He's a special sort of guy.
Somebody said GU. I mean, I knew about GI.
I know GI, yeah.
But genitals and urinary, the GU.
They're wrapping it up in there. You got two things. GI is mostly just that's your digestive stuff, correct?
Yes.
So with the GU, you're just throwing the reproductive stuff in as well.
Okay. Extremities, joints and muscles, full range of motion, normal blood flow, no swelling. Comprehensive neurological exam revealed no abnormalities in his mental status, cranial nerves, motor and sensory function, reflexes, gait and balance. Cognitive function assessed during the Montreal Cognitive Assessment was normal with a score of 30 out of 30, which Donald Trump, by the way, let us know about that. And he made it sound like a really big deal. He's like, I took a cognitive test, and I didn't miss a single question. So
I love the brag, Trump. I do enjoy when he starts bragging a bit. It is funny.
Yeah. Also completed the patient health questionnaire and the generalized anxiety disorder. Everything was normal there. Dermatologic conditions, all good, although some sun damage and a few benign lesions. No concerning lesions or growths were identified. I don't know. Do I need to give you the lab results? His lipid panel was pretty good. Maybe a little high. I don't know. His cholesterol's even good, but he's taking some medicine to make sure the cholesterol stays where it's supposed to be. It would take a doctor or a pharmacist to remind me all of the things that the metabolic panel means, but all is well. Urinalysis was normal. Pertinent past medical history, notable for well-controlled cholesterolemia, seasonal allergies, history of COVID-19 infection, well-managed Rosacea, actinic keratosis, benign nevi diverticulosis, and a benign colon polyp. So he's had some stuff, but it's all good. Had an appendectomy when he was 11. He's had bilateral cataract surgery. Social history, lifelong abstinence from tobacco and alcohol. He's taking a couple of cholesterol medicines, aspirin, and some cream for skin condition.
I bet his wife has him on the skin cream, you know.
Probably so. Stephen Kasuth said, like Kid Rock said, it ain't bragging if you back it up.
That's right.
Wait, Kid Rock gets credit for that quote? we sure who? It ain't bragging if you can do it. I don't think Kid Rock was the first one to say that, but okay. I have a bird that is having a fight with the window outside my office. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
I can. I was wondering. I thought you might have had some wind, a little limb up there or something. But that's a bird trying to get in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
C-Spire text line. This is coming strong on a Monday morning as it pertains to the GI system. Trump is full of crap.
Ooh.
And he knows how to get it out. Hashtag winning. Jeez.
There we go.
Obviously, this is relevant for two reasons. When you have a 78-year-old president, you are curious about his health. He seems to be fit as a fiddle. He was wide open at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning after going to the UFC fight in Miami on Saturday night. Left the fight at 1:18 Eastern time. Those are now he's been very open about the fact that he loves the fights, right? I mean, he loved going to boxing in years gone by, loves going to the UFC fights. Don't you think he also loves the reception that he gets when he walks into that arena?
Of course. I mean, there's a little ego building there.
Yeah, I would think so. I certainly would think so. But, man, the level of adulation when he walks in to a ring for a UFC fight or a boxing match, pretty off the charts. I almost feel like I need to get a physical and compare my numbers to the numbers of President Trump.
Well, he's got good doctors, too. Remember?
Yeah. I think I would be comparable.
Up. Yeah. I hope it's 78. I have, great numbers.
Maybe I should do that for content purposes.
Yeah,
or maybe I should do that just for my own health because I probably should get a physical every year.
Do it for both. We need to know.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. That was Dizzy Dean's quote. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. We'll be back.
From the Venable Glass.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Thanks for joining us on this Monday morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Do you change toothpastes from time to time, or do you stick with like the tried and true?
I change it up here and there.
Do you?
Yeah. Go with like the charcoal one here and there, and as much like the triple fluoride.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but yeah, I do change it up a good bit.
Just like whatever you see first or whatever's on sale, just grab a.
The one that says most whitening available within 30 minutes. Yeah, whatever.
There you go.
As much coffee as I drink, yeah.
I've been using the Red Tube Crest for a while.
Okay.
Some people have been using the exact same toothpaste for, I don't know, decades even. But if you want to branch out, there is an opportunity for you to do so. In one of the most unexpected collabs of the year, Australian oral care brand His Smile has teamed up with Colonel Sanders.
Uh-oh. Fried chicken flavor?
Has teamed up with KFC to launch a limited edition fried chicken toothpaste and toothbrush. Inspired by KFC's iconic 11 herbs and spices, the toothpaste promises the unmistakable flavor of the brand's finger-licking good original recipe chicken right there on the bristles of your toothbrush. Described as a full-on flavor takeover, the novelty paste doesn't just aim to shock the taste buds. It also features a fluoride-free formula designed to deliver long-lasting oral health benefits and a superior clean.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just brush your teeth with Doritos? If you, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this for your breath or for you to feel like you ate something?
It's not cheap. The limited edition KFC dental kit, which includes a battery-powered toothbrush and a tube of the not crispy but original recipe chicken flavored toothpaste.
What's next? Cold slaw and mashed potatoes and gravy toothpaste?
It's available for $72 while supplies last.
$72?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord, man. That is something there for a tooth kit of fried chicken flavor. I mean, that's ridiculous. But what else, man? People be people. They can have what they want.
I don't know if this is a voice text or this is how it was typed out. This is beautiful. When you get my age, you got to use Sensodyne for old, wore-out teeth.
Sensodyne, yeah.
Yes, I think Sensodyne is what we were looking at for old, worn-out teeth. Yeah. Oh, B, that was great.
I use Sensodyne at times. This is a good product.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Sean and Clinton says that's $72 worth of gross.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my opinion. Like, who are you breathing on? Are you using that before you go to eat, just so you can build an appetite or something? I don't know.
Thomas says, isn't it cheaper to just eat chicken? Well, I mean, I assume, Thomas, that a tube of the original recipe fried chicken would last longer than a bucket of wings and legs.
I guess.
Just thinking out loud here, though.
I mean, I guess if you're substituting. If you're going for more economics here for your, for your appetite, yeah, probably $72 in toothpaste would go a little further than a bucket of fried chicken.
Yeah. Stocks soared on Friday, completing a huge bounce-back week for the major indexes amid encouraging news on tariff talks. The S&P 500 rose 1.8%. The NASDAQ gained 1.9%. The Russell 2000, 1.6%. So ended the best week for the benchmark U.S. index since 2023, and tops for the tech-heavy gauge since 2022. Stocks bumped up in the afternoon after Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said that Donald Trump was optimistic on reaching a trade deal with China. Every S&P 500 sector ETF rose, with materials, energy, and tech leading the way. I continue to think that the idea of living and dying with the stock market does not produce a physical quite like the one that Donald Trump gave us. I don't know that just whether you're actually day trading or mentally day trading, I don't know that that's the best plan for your long-term health. However, clearly investors were cheering a tariff rollback for the tech industry, even though the respite could be short-lived. You heard about the news over the weekend. Some electronics categories are going to be exempt from the tariffs. Smartphones, computers, memory chips, semiconductors, and several other categories of products will be exempt from the sweeping tariffs imposed earlier this month. That was the news that came out on Friday, and it's huge news for Apple. Now, over the weekend, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick warned that, okay, hold on a second. There is more coming. There will be separate levies in a month or two as part of an investigation into semiconductors. President Trump stressed in a social media post yesterday that nobody is getting off the hook on tariffs and that levies on tech products are simply moving to a different bucket. Lance, you sent me a really interesting article over the weekend about the projected cost of an iPhone if it were manufactured in the United States. People are referring to it as the Stars and Stripes edition iPhone. And the truth of the matter is, nobody really knows what it would cost to produce in the United States. You've got some economists that are saying it would double its current price, and so it'd be like $2,400. Some that are saying, oh, it could retail at $1,900. Some saying it could cost as much as $3,500. And you're like, okay, but why? Why would it cost so much more? And the answer is, well, it's complicated. 80% of iPhones currently are manufactured in China. But there is a supplier for Apple, Foxconn, that builds the majority of iPhones that are shipped all around the world. And there are a lot of factors in place there, one of which is cheap labor. You know, the Chinese are known for, doing what is right by their people no matter the cost.
Mm-hmm. If you say so, yes.
By paying them less than $3 an hour to work in a factory making iPhones. But it's not just a $3 an hour job. So the article pointed to the fact that minimum wage in the state of California is $16 an hour, and they're making like $3.62 an hour in China to put these things together. But that's the minimum wage in California. They've got all of these engineers that are working by the tens of thousands in China to assemble iPhones with little micro screws and, taking the coding and turning it into an actual product and et cetera, et cetera. So the labor cost would be higher in the United States. There would be a labor shortage for the number of engineers needed to fill the role. The parts of the iPhone would continue to come from all over the world, primarily in the East, Far East, parts of Asia, in which they would be subject to tariffs coming into the United States. And, oh, by the way, you would have to build the factories to assemble these phones as well. Now, Apple has played the game well under the leadership of Tim Cook. Back in the first Trump administration, there was the threat of tariffs, and they agreed to build the new Mac Pro in Texas, I think. It was a small plant in Austin where they did that. But it was already an expensive product. And in terms of the volume, nowhere close. You had a couple of 100 million iPhones that were built last year. The number of these Mac Pro computers in the tens of thousands. So it's a completely different scale. Could you build the iPhone in the United States? Yes, you could. But it would be expensive, and it would take a while to be able to ramp up production. And I'm not sure that it would make sense for Apple or for you, the consumer, that carries an iPhone. And I don't know if you know this or not, but it seems like the iPhones are designed to only work the way they're supposed to work for a couple of years. And then they change the size of the power supply, or the operating system slows down, or the operating system doesn't support updates, or whatever it is. We got more coming up. Mornings with Richard Cross. Segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
What else?
And always on the SuperTalk app.
Thanks for spending part of your Monday morning with us. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Glad to have you along for the ride. Don't forget the C Spire text line is open to you. If you want to join the conversation, you can do so at 601-879-4395. C Spire, inspired by you. All right, first guest of the new week. Marie Sanderson joins us, former policy director with the Republican Governors Association, GOP strategist. Marie, good morning. Hope you had a great weekend.
Good morning, Richard. I did. Thank you.
And now we get back into the grind, into the race on Monday morning. A little bit shorter week though, with Good Friday coming up and Easter weekend. I feel like, as we have discussed a number of times, this administration, the Trump administration, is operating at a dizzying pace. Right? It's really hard to kind of keep up with, what's happening here and what's happening with Doge and what's happening at the White House and what's happening at the Capitol. Does it feel to you like now, about 3 months into this administration, that they have gotten into a rhythm and that there's a little bit more of a flow to what they're doing, or is this thing still just like a blitzkrieg?
It still feels like a blitz. I think if you were to ask anyone on Capitol Hill, they would feel the same way. But as I've said before, Richard, this is intentional. They have a lot they want to accomplish. They have had a lot of time to think about how they were going to do it. And the president likes chaos. It's part of how he makes deals. There's always something going on. So you have to keep your eye on the ball for the policy that matters to you, because while you're focused on one thing, they might be executing policy on something else. And that's, a really smart way when you have the White House to go on offense. And he and his team are doing that.
Is there any previous administration that has operated in anything comparable to this? I mean, I think about 94 and the contract with America, when the legislature moved very, very quickly to kind of fulfill the promise of the first 100 days. But that's the only thing that I can think of that's even close.
I would agree with you. I'll date myself. I've worked under 4 or 5 presidents in my career, and I have never seen an agenda move this quickly. The other thing the president does, which makes it feel more chaotic, is he has a lot of advisors with differing opinions around him. That's how he makes decisions. He likes people who have strong opinions. He likes to hear the case made, and then he ultimately makes a decision. And so sometimes it can feel more chaotic because there are lots of verticals, I like to say, of opinions surrounding him on important matters like trade.
Yeah, I was fascinated by the most recent cabinet meeting that they maybe I've been head in the sand. I don't ever remember where we've got video of every cabinet meeting that happens, and we've got access to that. But it feels like, I don't know that kumbaya is the right way to describe it, but everybody continues to be working in sync. And I know we've talked about Susie Wiles a bunch in the past. I thought some of her comments in particular about the way the cabinet has taken what they've been assigned and executed it so far has really been impressive.
It has been impressive. And, we've talked about this before, but just to reiterate, those who received roles in his cabinet were change agents. They got the assignment, and now they're acting on the assignment that was given to them across the cabinet. And so you're also seeing communication tools being used. You could go look at any cabinet official, and a Caroline Leavitt style press avail is there, either from the press officials themselves or the cabinet secretaries directly. And so they're doing things, and then they're communicating what they're doing to the American people in a way that people understand, right? It's not gobbledygook policy speak. It's, this is what we did for you this week. And they do that, every Friday.
There are people, Marie, that have looked at this tariff conversation and said the future of, I don't want to say the future of the presidency hangs in the balance of how it plays out, but midterm elections very well may. Uncertainty in the markets. You deal in strategy, which means you're looking at the potential outcomes, you're weighing the risk, and then you're advising based on that. This tariff situation and the global trade climate, is this a calculated risk? Is it this is what we're doing, results be damned? What is the strategy behind tariffs and this entire global trade landscape?
Well, I'll do my best because only the president knows his ultimate strategy. But what I will tell you is the president believes that we have a trade deficit with countries across the world, and it's time to balance that out. That's important not only for our economic security, but for our national security. And some of the advisors around him are the ones who are advising him on this tariff strategy, which, as Caroline Levitt noted midweek, as well as his advisor Stephen Miller, this is to bring people to the table. Have you ever read his book, Art of a Deal? The Art of Deal Making. He is implementing in his public service life what he did in the private sector. And so you do see people who are questioning what he's doing, but he is bringing countries to the table. We know that delegations of countries are going in to negotiate better deals, but longer term, China remains kind of the big elephant in the room, but everyone's worried about whether or not we'll solve for. And on your earlier segment, you were talking about some of the exemptions that were announced on Friday, and then on Sunday it was, well, these aren't really exemptions. There are other types of tariffs coming to semiconductors and other types of technology. Everyone's going to have to pay their fair share. And so, I do think he's trying to find a way, as you again noted on your earlier segment, how to onshore American manufacturing. And what that looks like remains to be seen.
All right, so let me push you a little farther down that road. What does that look like? I mean, is an automation piece for the United States? Is it this long-term play of redoubling on the education system so that we're producing more engineers here? How do you pay those people? What if you're just imagining this, what does it look like? Not so much in the president's mind, but if you're advising or you're looking at how this plays out, what does it look like to you?
Well, in my mind, and again, this is just my opinion, there are lots of things at play. There's unions, right? How do we handle, it's not so much a problem in Mississippi because we're a right to work state, but you have unions that a lot of our companies must deal with. You have energy supply. In the Southeast, we have a lot of cheap, reliable energy. That's not the case across the country. It's the labor pool. Who wants these jobs? Are they going to do these jobs? I certainly think AI is at play. And technology. And if, I work with a lot of CEOs at some companies that are national companies that are just trying to figure out how to save their product. And so I think the certainty is really key for these guys. And so I think if they knew what the rules would be long term, I think that's what they're waiting on. While some of them don't like tariffs, if they know what the long term play is going to be, they can build it into their forecasting and decide where they're going to build, whether it's a washing machine or a telephone or whatever the widget may be. They'll figure out how to handle it and how to price it accordingly. But right now, I think while the president's negotiating with countries, that long-term forecasting is hard because they're unable to budget. And so I think if I have a comment to you, it's I don't know what that looks like. I think we have lots of policies, workforce, energy infrastructure, technology that plays into that. Before the private sector, if they had certainty, then they could live within the rules that we have in the United States.
Yeah, we were talking before you came on about iPhones in particular, and what it would cost to manufacture that in the United States. And I don't know that anybody really knows that, but I'm wondering if the manufacturing example for you actually can build it in the United States and build a successful company is a guy that's front and center right now in Elon Musk, because Tesla builds everything in the United States. He's focused on that. And I mean, if you look at the sticker price on vehicles, I mean, yes, Teslas are expensive, but they're not really that much more expensive than Fords or GMCs or Toyotas or anything else.
Well, I don't own a Tesla. My son wishes that we did own a Tesla. But yeah, I mean, I think, Elon Musk has shown how to build an American company. I mean, I am certain he's in the president's ear about certain things. We've shown the president being willing to agree with Elon on things and go against him on certain things. But yeah, I think that's a great example of a company. And there are lots of examples of companies that are onshoring jobs and doing what they need to do to meet the president's goal of America first. And that is not only to national security, but bringing more jobs back to the United States. He's been very clear that that's part of his agenda. And a lot of CEOs are doing that with their companies. Visiting with Maurice Sanderson. You got time to hang for just a few more minutes? Yeah, certainly. If you need to run off to a meeting, you can tell me. I won't get mad at you. I probably should have asked that in advance. No, I'm good. if you didn't hear the dogs barking as my husband took the kids to school, I'm all good. So.
I did not, but I can relate to that. I've almost become immune to it. It's like every time I walk in the house, it's as if our dogs have seen me for the first time ever. I'm like, hey, it's me. I live here. You know? So we'll continue with.
I know.
Yeah. I'm glad that you can relate on that. Maria Sanderson, GOP strategist, former policy director with the Republican Governors Association. We'll talk a little bit about the Supreme Court when we come back, and also a question about Mississippi with a special session. Her focus is on federal, but we'll look at some state stuff as well. That's when we come back with you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Absolutely gorgeous Monday morning across the state of Mississippi. Thank you for being with us. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Oh, sorry, refreshing the video feed, Lance. Locked up over there.
Yeah,
there we go.
You were thinking hard. It looked like.
Yeah, that's probably a bad idea. Maria, I got to ask you about this. I'm just going to be honest. I kind of checked out for about 3 days last week. Golf stuff. Got to go to the Masters, and so I feel like I missed the uproar about Real ID. And part of the reason I missed this is because, like, 4 or 5 years ago, TSA told us everybody had to have real ID or you won't be able to fly. So I went and renewed my driver's license forever ago, and then they changed it. People get in such an uproar about identification. What is the debate here, and why are people so upset about it?
Well, I'm laughing because you're right. This has been around forever. I remember working on this issue as a 22-year-old who used to work for Senator Thad Cochran, and then when I worked for the Governor Barber, we were working on this issue, and Congress has delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. And many years ago, they set the deadline to 2025, and everybody had to have their ID. And I give a ton of credit to our state.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure I know people are up in arms about it, but Governor Reeves, Governor Bryant, Governor Barber, Commissioner Tyndall, like others, you know, have been saying this, get your ID. When you go get a new ID, it was Real ID certified. Now, the policy reason for that, it was because pre-Real ID, every state had a different version of their license. There was very little, it's certainty that the license was real. It didn't have like a hologram on it. And there are lots of other national security reasons why we've done this as a country. But I know people don't like government regulations and government telling them what to do. But my saying back would be, it's an ID. You vote with your ID. It helps you. You get on an airplane with your ID. Yeah. Go get a new ID. Just go get it done. We've been talking about this for years.
And by the way,
that's kind of my personal reaction.
If you have renewed your driver's license in Mississippi in the last 5 years, you most likely already have a Real ID. Look for the gold star, little circle star in the upper right-hand corner of your license. If you got that, you're good. You don't have that, supposedly you won't be able to fly without it unless you have a passport starting on May 7th, 2025. So you got about a little less than a month to get that done.
Yeah.
I mentioned Supreme Court. There are a gazillion, very scientific number, appeals right now before the Supreme Court. Way more than the number of cases that they normally hear in a year. The reason that we've got that is because we have these district judges that are making sweeping rulings that are outside of their jurisdiction. The House passed a law last week that would kind of keep them in their place a little bit more. How is the Supreme Court going to handle this docket? Because a lot of these decisions need to be heard and ruled on pretty quickly.
Well, I don't. I like to tell people I just pretend to be a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. But you're right. The Supreme Court has a lot in front of them. I think people are going to be sitting and waiting for those Fridays when they announce what they're going to actually consider. And there's a lot on the docket, as you noticed, or as you noted, because of what the president's doing, just the litigious nature of our country and appeals and all sorts of things. So I'm not answering your question because I don't know. I'm glad I'm not Supreme Court justice here, but that it will be a busy fall when they start to announce some of their decisions on some of these important cases.
All right, last thing for you. The Mississippi legislature has a special session coming. We don't know when, and we don't know what exactly. We know that the budget has to be in there because they didn't pass a budget before they adjourned. I know your focus primarily is at the federal level, but you've worked with the Governors Association. Do you anticipate more than just the budget on the agenda that Tate Reeves hands out for this special session coming up in Mississippi? I'm asking you to make a prediction.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I've seen it both ways, having worked for governors where you call everybody back and you control the agenda and it's very focused and they can write, these orders in such a way that the legislature has to be really focused on what the governor wants them to do. So I could see a scenario where they just focus on the budget because that needs to be done very soon, obviously, to plan for the fiscal year. But look, if the governor has other priorities, there's no better time than a special session to try and push that through. Governor Reeves has a few more years. He's likes to be a change agent. And so I could see him doing another special session. Governor Barber one time did a special session within the special session, if you can believe that. I can't quite remember what the issues were that we were doing. But yeah, I mean, there are a number of formulas for Governor Reeves if he wants to push a special session forward on an issue.
Marie Sanderson, GOP strategist, former policy director with the Republican Governors Association. Always appreciate the time. Good visiting with you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Richard. Have a great week.
You as well. Mornings with Richard Cross. 8 o'clock hour coming up next.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And that's something that I have for you is a question as we begin the 8 o'clock hour. Love to hear your responses on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. It's similar to what I asked Marie Sanderson at the end of our conversation just a little while ago. What do you want out of the special session that is coming at an undisclosed date and an undisclosed time, but coming sometime before the first day of July? And I would assume sooner rather than later. What do you want out of that special session? Do you simply want a one agenda session in which the governor says to the legislature, get the budget done? Or are there other issues that you want to be on the docket? Are there other things that you want the governor to say to the legislature, hey, figure this out? Because this is the one time where, because of the way we're set up from a power standpoint and a distribution of power standpoint in Mississippi, where the governor has the ability to kind of tell the legislature what to do. Now they've got to figure it out. But he is the one, Governor Tate Reeves is the one that has the ability to set the agenda for this time going forward. And the question is he going to exercise that power? Is he going to put something really easy in, like there's another economic development project, and we've had special sessions in the past where you have you've had to call in to get, a funding package approved, or tax breaks approved or abatements approved, whatever it is that goes along with that, infrastructure. Paul and Hernando says put school choice in there. Would the governor go that route? Would he say, we want legislation on school choice in Mississippi, and it's going to be part of this session, and you can't go home until it's done? Would it be trivial if he put online sports betting in there and said, hey, get it done? We talk, I just can't see this being part of the session, but we talked about the hemp products, the hemp drink, the THC piece. Would that go on the docket for a special session? I don't think so. Seems unlikely, but it could. Will the governor call the legislature in and put a bunch of agenda items on there, or is it simply going to be budget, get it done, go home, and then there's some things that we're going to address going forward? I thought a really nice statement from the President of the United States that came out last night. And you will regularly see presidents reference holidays, even religious holidays. But I don't know if I remember something quite as detailed as this. This was Donald Trump last night. It was a post on Real Social where he was talking about Easter week, Holy Week. He says, this Holy Week, Christians around the world remember the crucifixion of God's only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And on Easter Sunday, we celebrate his glorious resurrection and proclaim, as Christians have done for nearly 2,000 years, he is risen. Through the pain and sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, we saw God's boundless love and devotion to all humanity. And in that moment of his resurrection, history was changed forever with the promise of everlasting life. As we approach this joyous Easter Sunday, I want to wish Christians everywhere a happy and very blessed holiday. America is a nation of believers. We need God. We want God. And with his help, we will make our nation stronger, safer, greater, more prosperous, and more united than ever before. Thank you, and happy Easter. Wow. That may sound very much like a statement of faith you made yesterday morning while attending church, or that you will make throughout the week on Maundy, Thursday, or Good Friday, or Resurrection Sunday. I don't always read stuff verbatim as it is written, because that doesn't always make for great radio, but I intentionally read that exactly the way it was written. And if you are a Christian, it's got to make you feel good to hear a statement like that come from the President of the United States. And this is observation only, and there's some that might cry foul, cry hypocrite, whatever else. None of us are without fault. Not even close, except Lance.
I was like, speak for yourself.
But mere mortals like the rest of us, not without fault. But it feels like there's more of a focus on spirituality from President Trump in the wake of the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania this past summer. He has spoken much more openly about his faith and believing that his life was spared for a reason, that there is purpose that he didn't see before, that he has a level of faith that is increased from where it was previously. And for some of you, you may be like, come on, move on, whatever. Don't need that from my president, don't want that from my president. And then there are others of you, others of us, who are so incredibly thankful to see not a watered-down statement of Happy Easter, may we remember the reason for the season, but a very specifically written post from the President of the United States in which he proclaims the resurrection and the promise of everlasting life, and not just a need, but a desire for God to play a larger role in our country. That was pretty powerful, coming last night from the President on Palm Sunday. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Bart in Columbus says 15% teacher raise funded by casinos and or a 2-cent alcohol tax. I think few, Bart, would argue with the idea of another pay raise for teachers. I don't think, given what the legislature did, was it a year ago or 2 years ago, with the teacher pay raise and the money that has been thrown toward education in the state of Mississippi, I cannot imagine a scenario where that is part of a special session this particular year. Not saying it's not deserved, but can't imagine that's part of where we're headed. Thomas in Greenwood, will Tate being a lame duck enter into the equation? Might make him add stuff that he would not have added in his first term. Lame duck by definition, right, in that he cannot be elected again. But Tate Reeves really has not operated anywhere close to a lame duck governor. Since being reelected to a second term. Like, not even close. And I mentioned it a second ago, I mean, the power structure in the state of Mississippi, the way the state is organized from a government standpoint, in a lot of ways limits the power of the governor. But one area that the governor has power is through this special session where he has the ability to set the agenda for the legislature. Now, there has been a very fruitful working relationship between the Speaker of the House and the governor's office so far in this, through two terms, or through two sessions, last year and this year. Will that continue? Will they stay on the same page? Will they keep marching to the beat of the same drummer? We've not seen any reason to doubt that. But again, they've been very much in lockstep, and the House has largely operated, put bills on the floor, passed bills that are in line with the governor's agenda in this second term in office. Tim in Tupelo says, do the job they were already supposed to have done. Other things can be addressed later. Figured we'd get this. PBM. Put pharmacy benefit manager legislation in play. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable.
Morning, partner. The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
He was born to be known as everybody's brother. He is the father's son and Mary is his mother. He is, excuse my slang with, well, a compound country kind of guy, yes it is. Ain't no way to get around it. You just can't beat Jesus Christ. Praise the Lord, guitar.
Good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Thanks for joining us. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can hit us up on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Got a message from a listener that said teachers actually get paid pretty well. They have 180-day contracts. I certainly would agree that it has moved in the right direction. I'm not sure that there is a number that properly values what a teacher is worth. I don't know that they'll ever, in any state or scenario, be paid what they're actually worth. But there certainly are benefits. Those couple of months off in the summer are a pretty big deal for a lot of people. And for those that have been in the state retirement system for a long time, they are, for a lot of people, that's the reason, or one of the reasons that teaching and sticking with it for all the years makes the sense that it makes. Bo said, need more Jesus talk on SuperTalk and across all media outlets. Too much hate in the world. Hard to argue with that, Bo. Hard to argue. Thanks for being with us this morning. Did you see this news about the southern border? And what do you make of it? Over the weekend, President Trump authorized the Pentagon to take over public land at the southern border. This news came out on the 11th. What was that, Friday? Yeah, I think Friday is when this came out. President Trump authorized the U.S. military to take jurisdiction over a strip of public land at the border that spans 3 states. And it's suggested to be a key step toward having United States troops play a larger role in enforcing immigration laws at the southern border. There's some that absolutely love this, and there's some that are like, is this sure this is the route we want to go? Military's played a pretty significant role working in conjunction with ICE and with Customs. All of those things in the months since Donald Trump took office. And this gives an opportunity to formalize it a little bit more. The story, though, is pretty fascinating. You are talking about, what are the 3 states? Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. Those are the 3. No, that's not right, is it? I'm looking at a map in my head, and that doesn't sound right. Texas, California, New Mexico. Would that make the most sense, Lance?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that real quick. Yeah.
Which 3 states that would be affected? The move would ultimately mean that the budget of the military can be tapped into for border security. And so it may be a strategic move from that standpoint. The Trump administration has been planning for weeks to transfer control of such lands to the military and potentially use the zone as a place to temporarily hold migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. That's according to defense officials. U.S. detention centers have been at their highest levels in years, to the point of almost being overwhelmed, creating a bottleneck for the White House goals of mass deportations. The order does not spell out that temporary detention facilities will be built on the lands. Yeah, California, New
Arizona,
Mexico, and Arizona.
Yeah. The Roosevelt Reservation is part of that as well, spanning across 3 states, California, Arizona, New Mexico.
The order authorizes the military to construct a border barrier and install detection and monitoring equipment on the lands, according to the memo. The military's initial phase of activities will be assessed in 45 days. So Trump took the first step when he declared a national emergency at the southern border right after taking office. And because it was declared a national emergency, was able to rush thousands of active duty soldiers to the southern border. They joined up with Texas National Guard, state troopers, and Border Patrol agents who are permanently working there at the border. And the policies have worked. If you look at the border crossing numbers, I mean, it has slowed to a trickle. And I think there are multiple reasons for that, Lance. One,
well, you're picking them up and sending them home too. I mean,
you're picking them up and sending them home.
Plan.
You have secured the border so that it's not easy to cross. You're no longer encouraging people to cross, and you've made home countries more aware and more willing to say, you can't do that. Like Mexico's playing ball.
I mean, the Mexicans as a people know how corrupt their government is. They know that it's infiltrated with cartel folks.
Yeah.
You got human smuggling and drugs and all that coming across the border left and right. And I can imagine with any great leadership, the Mexican people, that's not them. I mean, I lived down there for a few months. I remember when they caught the dude that was kidnapping hundreds of people as a family of 4,000 or something, all embedded in government and everything. And the people were absolutely appalled. And there's nothing different. That's just gotten worse because the people have not been taken care of by their own government. The government's in bed with it. They don't want this. And they don't want this.
There's another layer to this as well. Classifying the cartels as terrorist organizations and cracking down on them has limited their activity in the region. And the limiting of their activity, I mean, if you wonder where a lot of the cash was coming from to fund the people who were using coyotes to get them across, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 and you got to get me across the border. Where was that money coming from? You know where it was coming from. A lot of that, now, not all of it, a lot of that money was coming from cartels. But their ability to operate has been restricted, which has slowed the cash flow there a little bit. You've had cartel leaders who've just gone into hiding. I don't think any of us are naive enough to think that they are just stopping and aren't going to put up some sort of a fight. But there is a scenario where you got a cartel leader or two who goes, I got $300 million in cash sitting over here. Might be a good time to just shut it down. Go find an island somewhere and ride out my days. Now, I don't know if most of those guys are wired that way.
The problem with that is somebody's going to step up right in their place.
Well, that's true.
Generally been the issue in America.
Historically, yes.
Exactly. The appetite for us to do what is necessary has to be something that you have no doubt about. And I think Trump is committed. I mean, you're making it so much more difficult for folks. You don't have an app available for people, illegals to get across the border. You're not sending money, and you're not making it easy. So at least you have the migrant trains of people, that have stopped. And you've also dealt with other countries that have said, yeah, we don't need this. But you have to have the appetite to do the right thing here with the cartels. And that is, if you want to put them out of business, you got to put them out of business. Because if you just go over there and cut the head off of the snake, another one's growing in.
Yeah.
It might be worse than the previous one. So you got to do what the right thing is, and that is eradicate it. And that's a tough thing to do.
Hey, I got a question for you. Are you a big birthday guy?
Me? I like having them, yeah.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, we all like having them. It's another trip around the sun, and it's better than the alternative. But, like, in terms of celebrating a birthday.
Yeah, man, I love a good birthday celebration. Okay. There's cake involved.
The United States has a big birthday coming up.
You do.
In a little over a year. And planning was underway for the nation's 250th anniversary, America 250. And that planning in a lot of places has come to a halt because of funding cuts. The councils that have been working on programming for America 250, an initiative marking the milestone anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, but deep cost-cutting efforts across the federal government has led to the National Endowment for the Humanities to cancel its grants for state humanities councils. And that has left them with less money for programming to plan the celebration, ranging from themed K-12 school curriculums to special events at public libraries. I feel like the intent of this article is for me to get up in arms about it and be like, how dare they?
Yeah, how dare they not have a party?
Like, can't we still teach about the American Revolution?
Without an ice cream social celebration, probably.
without special curriculum. Like, we have history books, and I'm pretty sure that part of it's covered. And teachers could take some initiative in developing their own curriculum for that special year, the lead up to that celebration. We can have parades, shoot fireworks. Surely we're going to be okay on this.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Good morning once again. Just a little less than half an hour left with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Lance in the studio. I'm Richard Cross, and we are joined now by the one and only JT Mitchell.
Well, thank God there's only one, right?
He is the news director of the Super Talk Mississippi news team, the fearless leader, the scribe of scribes. Hello, friend. Good morning.
The scribe
I missed
of scribes.
you last Monday morning.
That's right. I missed you too, Richard. It's not the same without you.
Thanks,
Lucian
bud.
held down the fort, but I was thinking about you, and I hope you had fun in Augusta.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him. Really appreciate Lucian being in. He is a smart guy, and does a really good job, and appreciate him filling in last week. So,
And I guess you couldn't get an extra ticket from me.
no, I couldn't.
You can't get tickets for anybody anyways. It's a hard thing to do.
No.
But it is on the bucket list.
It is absolutely spectacular. And what a weekend of golf, and a little Mississippi flavor that was there at the Masters.
Yeah, Davis Riley. He took the first swing of the tournament. He did make the cut on Friday, and then he finished tied 21st. I believe he was 2 under. And, you know, the newsroom is doing the research right now, but if I had to guess, that's the best finish for a Mississippi native since Gallagher when he finished number 17.
And what do you want to bet that the check that Davis Riley got for finishing T21 was better than the one Jim Gallagher got for T17?
Yeah.
$210,000, Davis Riley's payday for finishing in a tie for 21st at 2 under par.
And if you don't know Davis Riley out there listening, he's from Hattiesburg.
Yep.
And he, he has really been doing great on the tour. I think he's made about $9 million so far, and he's only been a few years, right?
I'm going to let you keep talking, and I will double check on career earnings. But yeah, he's played really well. Played college golf at Alabama after coming from the Hattiesburg area, and it really has been a good career. Still a young guy, 28 years old. Went to PCS or PCS preschool in the Hattiesburg area coming up, and it's been outstanding. He's got 2 career wins, a couple of top 10s this year. It's been really good for Davis Riley.
But the Masters, I mean, it looks like such a bucket list item.
$9.1 million earned on tour since 22.
$9.1 million. And just seeing all these videos, I know you saw it in person. Did you use the payphone? Or I guess it's not payphone, but you can't take your cell phone into it. So you see these videos of all the lines, people lining up to call, I guess, somebody to brag that they're out there at Augusta National.
I guess those do get used. No, I did not. I got to tell you, we talked about it that afternoon after leaving. It's one of the most refreshing experiences that you can have right now. Not only do you not have a phone, and you have to detach yourself and kind of be in the moment, nobody around you has a phone. There's nobody that's holding up their phone to video some guy's swing or to, look at the azaleas, look at the camellias, look at the swaying pines in the wind. Oh, look, there's Rory Mac. None of that. You're just watching it and soaking it in.
That's a world I would like to live in. I mean, different from the Masters, but my better half and I went to Willie Nelson while you were gone, and we were sitting in the back, and you see all of these people just watching the concert through their phones. It drives me absolutely insane. Bob Dylan actually went off on a crowd one time and said, if you're going to watch me through your phones, leave or I'll leave. But Willie Nelson, yeah, he performed in Brandon, and he did great for 91 years old. I mean, I just hope to be in a rocking chair at 91, and he's up on stage staying young.
What's your favorite song that he played?
Roll Me Up.
Okay.
And Smoke Me When I Die.
There you go. Love it.
So should we talk about news now?
Is that as much fun as Willie Nelson and the Masters?
No, it's not. I mean, I go on about Willie Nelson. I mean, what a fantastic concert. His son was with them. They played a few songs. They'd go back and forth. Still wearing the bandana. Does not smoke pot anymore. He only eats edibles. 91 years young.
Got to take it easy on these lungs down the stretch.
He had a really funny comment. He said, because a lot of times concerts, the artists, they'll talk to the fans. This man's 91 years old. He was not really playing to the fans that much, but he did stop one time, and he said, if I die when I'm high, at least I'll be halfway to heaven.
Willie Nelson.
One of a kind, right?
One of a kind. All right, you got municipal elections, about a week away?
Yeah, I don't think you can really
Runoff?
segue to that.
No.
But yeah, municipal primary
I mean,
runoffs.
if Lance had I'll Never Smoke Weed with Willie Again queued up, maybe that would have been the bridge. But
I couldn't guarantee that, though.
Yeah.
So here's my PSA. Elections are not over. 1 week from tomorrow, you may have a runoff in your city. Go use the Secretary of State's website. Find out if you do have a runoff and get ready to vote. I mean, Tuesday, April 22nd, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. And, of course, municipal elections don't have great turnout as it is, but especially when it comes to runoffs. I mean, we had Passover this past weekend. You have Easter this weekend. I really just encourage everybody to push through and go cast your ballot on Tuesday, because a lot of these are big races. They are deciding who the nominee will be for the June 3rd general election, whether that be for mayor, board of aldermen, city council, school board, whatever it is. These local positions are really what impacts what happens in your backyard and your front yard. They matter more to you and your neighborhood than arguably any other election.
JT's going to keep beating that drum.
I am.
Trying to make it make sense and be important to you. So give me the dates one more time.
Tuesday, April 22nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can go to the polls. But if you're going to be out of town, like I mentioned, there's a lot going on. Some schools are closed because of Easter. If you're going to be out of town, you can absentee vote. You can do it today. The municipal clerk offices opened 45 minutes ago. Just go before 5. You can do it tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday is your last chance to absentee vote from 8 a.m. until noon. Just do it. It's super easy. I cannot stress enough that these elections are what matter.
We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, the special session. We know it's coming. We don't know exactly when, and we don't know exactly what. Are you hearing any rumblings, JT? I know you're keeping your ear to the ground, got the nose to the grindstone. Do you get a sense of how soon this may happen?
We talked about this last week while you were gone, and just from everything I'm hearing and everything I honestly am feeling with tracking different sessions in the past, I think it's going to be sometime in May. That's my prediction.
Okay.
But either way, as we all know, it has to be done before July 1st.
Yep.
That's when the budget goes into effect. Of course, they do have some funds set aside that there will not necessarily be an immediate government shutdown if they don't get it done. But everything the governor has been saying is that they're going to get it done. He says he's spoken to House Speaker Jason White, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, and you ask what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is this week, both leaders in the Senate and leaders in the House, when it comes to appropriations, they're going to begin conversations. That's what Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann said. And that does not mean the session is here. It means that they're going to try to come to a handshake agreement before going into a special session.
Right. Lay the groundwork before you get there so you don't waste a ton of time.
A ton of money.
And a ton of money. Because time is money, literally, in this scenario. Do you think that this is going to be a single-issue special session?
I don't.
Do you think the governor is going to add more to the agenda?
I believe he will.
Okay.
He mentioned it in his press conference he held a couple of weeks ago that he's not ruling out throwing in mobile sports betting, school choice, reforms to the Certificate of Need program, a parental bill of rights, the Tim Tebow Act that would allow homeschooled kids to participate in public school activities and sports. He's mentioned some topics, and my feeling is he's not going to mention these topics if he's not at least thinking about it. I think his staff over there at the mansion, they currently are trying to figure out what can be done, because you do want a special session to be short. You don't want to drag it out. You don't want to waste a lot of money. You don't want to keep lawmakers there for weeks and months. So I think he'll put something in there that can be done. I heard you talk about school choice. I'm hearing school choice more than likely will not be included. It's just too much. I mean, if you looked at how many bills for school choice was introduced and how far the two chambers were apart, it's just too much. It's an optics deal, and if you put mobile sports betting in there, you can say, hey, we're about to make the state between $40 million and $80 million a year. Sure, we just spent $1 million on a special session, but I'll take the excess $39 million on the bottom.
Spend a few more minutes with JT Mitchell from the SuperTalk Mississippi news team when we wrap things up. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important. Huge news.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Thanks for being with us one last time on this Monday morning. Full day of programming for you on Super Talk Mississippi. We'll have local shows at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, middays with Gerard Gibbert. That is from 10 to 1, and then Rebecca will be along at 2 o'clock after an hour of the gala of... that is the first time that I've done that. Mornings Rewind coming up at 1 o'clock, and then Sports Talk Mississippi this afternoon at 3, from 3 until 6. JT Mitchell in from the Super Talk Mississippi news team joining us, and we got some good news stuff happening. Folks doing things that call the Magnolia State home.
Yeah, we already talked about Davis Riley and the Masters. That's somebody showing the rest of the world what Mississippi is about. And also on American Idol. Richard, I don't know if you're a big American Idol guy or not, but Mississippians have a way of getting into the competition and doing extremely well. Jamal Roberts, I mean, his story is incredible. He's 27 years old. He's from Meridian. He's a PE teacher at Crestwood Elementary. And, you know, he got his golden ticket, and it's like he could go pretty far.
Yeah.
The coach just said he needs to clean up some stuff. He's done exactly what the judges have said, and he advanced to the top 24 last week. And then last night, you know, they do 12 singers last night, 12 tonight. They compete to move into the next round. Last night he sang a Jelly Roll song, and Jelly Roll, who's a mentor on the show, said that Jamal Roberts from Meridian, Mississippi, sang my song better than I could have.
What a compliment.
What a compliment. And so he's joining a long list of people to make it this far. Colin Stowe, Jennifer Jeffries, Zachariah Smith, LaPortia Renee. You could just keep going on and on. Just major props to him. What else have people been doing on the national stage? Oh, yeah, Coachella is this weekend and next weekend.
Bernie was there.
Bernie Sanders was at Coachella?
Bernie Sanders made a surprise appearance at Coachella.
Well,
I have no additional comment, just letting you know.
I talk about the Masters being on the bucket list. Coachella kind of is too. I need to team up with Richard Cross and Bernie Sanders if I want to get going places. I don't know. They're on the same team. But Coachella.
We're not.
Jackson State's sonic boom of the South. What a year it has been. It started with the Rose Parade on New Year's Day, and then on Friday night, they performed. It was a surprise performance alongside Travis Scott for at least a full set.
Very cool.
They've performed in Super Bowls with Travis Scott, Drake, Lil Boozy, J. Cole. I mean, the sonic boom of the South, that is the best promo you can get for a university. They're everywhere.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Hey, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about the special session and the budget, a lot of concern about some either frozen funding or elimination of funding through some of DOJ's efforts for some areas that the state of Mississippi may have to come up with a shortfall.
Well, it's an additional headache, but it could be a blessing in disguise that the budget collapse happened, because a lot of these DOJ cuts that we've been hearing about happened just in the last couple of weeks. I mean, around $400 million in either frozen or cut funds. Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Mental Health, a lot of different agencies are facing cuts. And that's something lawmakers are going to have to address. I mean, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, he said last week, he said that, yes, maybe we'll get lucky on getting some of this money back, but we as lawmakers, we have to take into account how much money is currently going to be lost by our agencies from the feds, and how are we going to fill that void? I mean, for example, Summit Elementary School, part of the Macomb School District, they've got around $9.6 million frozen, and that's their new elementary school. And so you just got to figure it out. JPS, they're using some of this money that was COVID-19 relief money to fix some AC and heaters, other HVAC stuff throughout the system. Lawmakers are going to have to help them figure that out. So it is an additional headache, but Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency have their sights set on Mississippi right now.
Just passing along some inside baseball to you from Radio Land. Got a message that 96.9 in Winona, kind of staticky. 93.7 in Oxford has had some issues this morning. Houston McDavid is smarter than most of us. He says it's called temperature inversion, cool warming rapidly, also called skip in radio parlance, and by mid-morning it should clear out. So we're in that time of the year where it's cool overnight and warm during the day, and it warms up in a hurry, and sometimes that causes interference on your local radio stations. JT, thank you, as always. Hope you have a great week.
Good to see you, Richard.
You as well. Lance, always a pleasure. What do you say we do it again tomorrow morning?
Yes, sir.
More Mornings with Richard Cross. We'll be back with you just after 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hope you have a wonderful Monday.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.